guys, and welcome back to my channel. In case this is the first time you're stopping by, my name is Gina and I am a wife and mother from the Midwest, and I like to cook dinner for my family and post the videos here on YouTube. Today I'm going to be making one of the first recipes I ever created from scratch, and because of that it has no official fancy title or name. I just call it sausage and string beans with potatoes because that's basically what it is. So it's like an Italian style sausage that is seared, and then we're going to go ahead and blanch some potatoes and some green beans and then cook it in a Sofrito, which is basically like an Italian tomato sauce. It's not quite like a marinara because we're just going to throw it together quickly. But that's about all I have to say about it. So without further ado, let's jump into our ingredients. I have a pound of Italian sausage links, or just one package. So these ones are mild. I actually prefer doing hot sausage, but these were on sale. And also I'm going to try to make the babies eat some. So we'll see how that goes. I got this package of these Green Giant green beans, and these steam right in the bag. So it actually makes the prep much easier, because if you don't have the steam in bag ones, you're going to have to bring an extra pot of water to a boil, which you can do. I mean, you can very easily boil the potatoes and the green beans, but this just makes it easier on a weekday. We're going to need some fresh garlic. We're going to need an onion. So I'm using a white onion today, but you can use yellow, but I would not recommend using red onion for this. So just white or yellow. And then for our tomato sauce, I have a can of petite diced tomatoes. And then this is the equivalent of 2 cans of tomato sauce. So I'm going to use that. Sometimes I like to use a 28-ounce can of like whole peeled tomatoes, but I don't know why I'm mentioning that and making it more confusing for you. So anyways, and then for the seasonings, we're going to use some crushed red pepper, of course, salt and pepper, a little thyme, basil, oregano, and marjoram. Or you could just substitute this with 2 teaspoons of Italian seasoning. So I'm not going to do a time lapse today because we're basically just going to microwave the potatoes and beans and then chop the onion and the garlic. And I think that you guys are probably all right with that. So I will be back with something eventful in a moment. Alrighty, so just so you have an idea, I went ahead and I diced up our onion just into a fine dice, and then I minced up, these are 3 cloves of garlic. This is sausage, which is defrosted. You know what? Hang on a second. I'm going to cut them. No, I'm not going to cut them in half today because it's already past the point. Anyways, so I've got the sausage is defrosted, and then I have a large, this is like a soup pot, I would say, on medium heat with some avocado or olive oil in there, whatever you have. This happens to be avocado oil because I put the wrong one in there, but I will add some extra virgin olive oil for flavor afterwards. So I've got this coming to a nice medium heat, and I'm going to go ahead and sear the sausages for about like 3 to 5 minutes on each side, just so they get a nice brown layer before we remove them and continue the gravy. And then I have, this is probably, I don't know, like 1.5 pounds of potatoes, maybe 1 pound. These are fingerlings, but you can feel free to go ahead and just boil up some red potatoes that are diced up if you want. But for these fingerlings, or like the baby Yukon Golds, you just poke a hole in either side with a fork and then lay them out on a microwave safe dish. And then I'm going to go ahead and pop them in the microwave for 5 minutes, and that actually should be good. Let's see here. That's me. Hi. You guys never see me. So anyways, these are going to run for 5 minutes, and then let's go ahead and get our sausage in there. The reason I put this in a large soup pot is because the sausage sputters a lot and it makes a lot of grease all over the stove, and I hate that. So I'm just a weirdo, and that's why I'm using a super deep pot. So while these potatoes cook and while this browns on one side, I'm going to put you on pause and I'll be right back. Okay, so our sausage is done. This is what it looks like. It will not be cooked through. It just has a nice sear on either side, so I just flipped it once. And I would say that I probably did about 4 minutes on each side. And then I left the fat that was rendered in the pot, and I put in our onion. So we are just going to go ahead and saute that until it is translucent before we add in the garlic. So that's doing its thing in there. And then I also took out our potatoes And you can just check it with a fork. I mean, these are fork tender, so they're good to go, so they don't need any longer. We are also going to simmer them for a moment in our red sauce. So I am just waiting for our green beans to cook in the microwave. These ones were 3 minutes is how long it took, so I'm just waiting to see how those come out because I've never actually used these before. So those are going, and I'll be back in a minute when we add some more stuff. Okay, so our green beans are just about done. When those are done, we're just actually going to leave them to the side with the potatoes until we're done simmering the sausage and the red sauce together. So I went ahead and I added the garlic to the pot. So we just want to go ahead and cook off some of that raw garlic flavor. I'd say let it go for about a minute or so because you don't want to burn garlic. Garlic is very bitter if you burn it. And then right now we're going to add in a pinch, I'm just going to sprinkle it, of crushed red pepper. And you could add that to taste. If you like it really spicy, you could add more. And if you don't like it spicy, you don't have to add it at all. So, but you always want to add your crushed red pepper like in the oil because that's what releases the spiciness from the seeds. Okay. Next thing we're going to do is add our diced tomatoes. And I prefer petite diced tomatoes. You want to see Paula? Sylvia, she's been saying Paula the whole time I'm cooking. So, we'll have to keep that play date next weekend. Alright, so I've added my crushed diced tomatoes. And then now I'm going to add the can of tomato sauce. Keep it on medium heat. And then for sake of ease, I measured out our spices into this little dish. So I have a half of a teaspoon each of basil, oregano, marjoram, and thyme. And then in the center, I totally forgot to mention this in the beginning. This is my secret ingredient. My mom taught me this from the old Italians on Taylor Street. You always want to add a pinch of sugar, white sugar, to your red sauce because it cuts the acidity. Can you please be quiet? Because it cuts the acidity of the tomato sauce. So, I'm just going to dump that all in here. And then I'm probably going to start with a 1/4 teaspoon of black pepper and about a 1/2 teaspoon of salt because the sausage is very salty actually. And then we'll taste it before we serve. So now that that's going, I'm going to go ahead and raise the heat up a little bit so we can get it boiling faster. And then we're going to go ahead and snuggle our sausages back into the pot. So back to what I was saying before about how I was going to possibly cut them in half. You can cut them in half, you can cut them in quarters, or you can leave them whole. They tend to cook quicker if they were in smaller pieces, so it probably would have been more convenient if I would have chopped them in half, but I didn't, and I'm not going to cut them open now. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's only 5 sausages in there? That's bizarre. I don't know. Maybe I lost a sausage. I don't know. That would be bizarre. Anyways, so now that this is boiling, I will add our salt and our pepper, and then I'm going to go ahead and cover it, and we're going to simmer this for about 20 minutes because the sausage is raw in the middle. And then, as I had said, I'm just leaving the potatoes and our green beans, and nice. These actually look like they are just blanched. I might actually throw some cold water in there because I don't want them to keep cooking. And we are going to reheat everything in the sauce. So I will be back when these sausages are cooked. So hang tight. Alright guys, I just wanted to check in on our sausage. There's 6 minutes left on it. So it's been about 15 minutes and the sauce is looking a little bit tight and I want to loosen it up because it's going to continue to cook. So I'm going to add about a 1/2 cup of water to the pasta sauce and stir it around, and I also flipped over our sausages and they're basically cooked through, but this is one of those dishes where it cannot be overcooked. Actually, the longer you cook it, the better. In regards to this part, I mean, obviously you don't want to overcook green beans and potatoes, but the sausage will just get more tender and the sauce will get more flavorful, and the tomatoes will actually break down, which I actually prefer. That's what I was mentioning earlier when I said sometimes I like to use the can of whole peeled tomatoes, because you can actually reach into the can and grab the tomato and then squish it with your hand, so it becomes like a nicer texture. And I don't know, I just find it to be more visually appealing. But this is going to be great too. So anyways, I'm just waiting for this to come back up to a boil. And I'm going to go ahead and cover it and let it finish off. So we'll evaluate the thickness of the sauce when it's done. So I'll be back in a few. Okay, so it has been about 20 minutes. This is looking really good. I'm not going to add any more water to it. Our sausage is nice and solid, but I'm actually going to take one out and just cut it in half because we need a fork for that. I don't want to be messing around with sausage. You know what I mean? Like, sausage is not something that I'm willing to eat medium rare or the wrong temperature on the inside, because you can get sick. So let's just cut one open. I know this is a taboo because it's going to let the juices out, but better than food poisoning. Yep, so those are good on the inside. And then essentially we are going to go ahead and dump all of these potatoes and green beans into the sausage and sofrito and mix it up and serve it. So like I said before, if you cut these in half, you can feel free to cut your green beans in half. You can cut your potatoes in half if it's easier for you to eat that way. But this looks the prettiest when it's served, is like with the whole long green beans and the little whole potatoes. So let's just go ahead and slide that in there. I did end up running cold water over the green beans to kind of blanch them and stop the cooking process, because they did have to sit for 20 minutes. And if they were sitting and steaming in that bag, they would have been like mush by now. So that is it. Let me go ahead and get this all mixed up. It's a little hard to do with one hand, and I will be back when we have the finished product. Alright, so we have our completed meal here. I just have the sausage on the side and the potatoes and green beans on the other side. And I'm serving it with some fresh bakery bread. And I'll go ahead and toss on a little bit of cheese, because who doesn't like cheese? And that's that, guys. Delicious, simple, inexpensive, and healthy. We're going to see if the girls eat some. I've got a little sausage on their plate. And then how is it, honey? You like it? No? Really? And Nicole's here, and she doesn't know she's going to be on camera. It's her favorite. She comes over every time. Alright guys, thank you for watching my video today. If you enjoyed it, I'd appreciate it if you could give it a thumbs up or subscribe. And I'm also going to post a couple of other videos somewhere here that you might enjoy, and if you could check those out as well, that would be great. Thank you. Good night. Good night. You're so cute, girls.